Hey there, everyone. It's GG Sober Sun here on November 22nd. AA Thought for the Day. That's from the 24-hour daybook reading with commentary, of course. I have gotten rid of most of my boredom. I'll get for you. One of the hardest things that a new member of AA has to understand is how to stay sober and not be bored. Drinking was always the answer to all kinds of boring people or boring situations. But once you have taken up the interest of AA, once you have given it your time and enthusiasm, boredom should not be a problem to you. A new life opens up before you that can be always interesting. Sobriety should give you so many new interests in life that you shouldn't have time to be bored. Have I gotten rid of the fear of being bored? Yeah, that's, I have a hard time remembering page numbers and chapters and whatnot, but there is a passage that says, "Am I consigned to a life where I shall be stupid, boring, and glum, like some self-righteous people I know?" Right? And initially, I really thought, what will I do with my time when I got sober? Right? And then it wasn't too long before I thought, when did I ever have time to drink, because my life did become infinitely more interesting, right? And if I felt kind of bored or what have you, all I had to do was pick up the telephone and talk to another alcoholic, and get out of myself. But in my drinking days, right, I'll never forget it. It was the first weekend I was in the United Kingdom. I shared this the other day, that my buddies and I jumped on a train, spur of the moment, and rode for, I don't know, ever, like 8 to 12 hours on the train, it seemed like, up to Edinburgh, Scotland, to spend New Year's Eve and ring in the new year. And well, we did it so spur of the moment that we didn't think about all the hotels and bed and breakfasts being sold out and no accommodations were available. And after all the celebration and fanfare died down, we were just on the streets, and it was cold and dreary and drizzling and miserable, and I was more than bored, but it was a combination of boredom and self-pity, just like, this sucks, But I had a Boda bag full of Kessler whiskey. And if you don't know what a Boda bag is, it's like a kidney-shaped leather bag. I'm sure it's got plastic lining, but it was something that you could carry around a little more easily than a glass jug handle bottle of whiskey. And so I just started doing squirty shooters of Kessler whiskey, and soon I was the life of my own party. I pissed some people off, that's for sure, but I thought I was hilarious. And I have scary flashes of wandering in apartment buildings and half gutted, half, apartment buildings that were being constructed. And, I got separated from my crew, and anything could have happened. Anything. And so that is not the answer to boredom, that is for sure, that I have found. But there was another time and oddly enough, it was at another New Year's Eve celebration. I believe it was New Year's Eve of 2001, ringing in the year 2001. And we were with a family that, I mean, I got along with the guy on the job in a work environment, you know, but we were all we ate too much and we were just not having fun. It was boring, you know, and the conversation kind of lulled. And but as a good host of people who did drink, I was like, hey, you want another drink? And I was in the kitchen making someone like a rum and coke or something like that, and I thought, I know what would change the mood of this party, at least for me. You know. But having had some time under my belt of sobriety, I recognized that thought for what it was. It was a lie, right? It was the disease trying to get me to pick up that first drink, experience that sense of ease and comfort, and go through the well-known stages of a spree and a relapse. And so I didn't, obviously. Well, not obviously, but I didn't. I just toughed it out and ate some more, probably, which made me even more boring and stupid, frankly. When I eat too much, I feel stupid and I can't think straight. But anyway, that's a little different than alcohol. But again, every day I avoid alcohol, I have an opportunity to learn and grow and live an abundant life. Meditation for the day. If I have not charity, this is a quote, if I have not charity, I am become as sounding brass or tinkling cymbal, end quote. And I believe that's from the Apostle Paul from the New Testament. Charity means to care enough about other people to really want to do something for them. A smile, a word of encouragement, a word of love goes winged on its way. Simple though it may seem, while the mighty words of an orator fall on deaf ears. Use up the odd moments of your day in trying to do some little thing to cheer up another person. Boredom comes from thinking too much about yourself. Yeah, that's for sure. Boredom and anxiety. You know, it's like shifting, you know, I always think about, it's like shifting into neutral, because so you're going nowhere, right? But the engine is revving at like 6,000 RPMs. That's what it feels like. And nothing creates anxiety more than boredom. You know, well, I shouldn't say that. Boredom is a major cause of anxiety. You know, because there's always something to do, you know? And if there's not something, like, you know, one of my favorite psychologists wrote a book called 12 Rules for Life, and one of the 12 rules is clean your room. Just clean your room. And my former sponsor used to say that all the time. If you're full of anxiety or you're bored, clean house. You know, and he meant that literally, not just, you know, clean house, help others, read the big book, pray to God, you know, that kind of clean house, house cleaning in terms of our fourth and fifth step. But that is, being in my own head can create all kinds of anxiety. Prayer for the day. I pray that my day may be brightened by some little act of charity. I pray that I may try today to overcome the self-centeredness that makes me bored. Yeah, and another thing that comes to mind is the simplicity of, and I've shared this before, I'm sure, that when within my first few months of sobriety, I got back to my home station in England, and I was going to a meeting I had never been to before, and I walked in a little bit late because it was a difficult meeting to find. It was in a complex of buildings, and I'm sure I've shared this before, but I walked in, and the guy that was sitting closest to the door turned around, looked at me, and just stuck his hand out as though he knew me, right? That's the way it felt to me. But as soon as I clasped hands with him, I knew I was home, right? I couldn't probably articulate it at that time, but I felt welcome. And it was such a small act, just like it was saying in here, a small act of quote unquote charity, right? Of welcome, of connection, of any kind. Man, it's like a lot of the Christian faith talks about evangelism as though it's some sort of special woo-woo thing, when really it's just about being connected with human beings, right? Other human beings, other people, God with skin on, I like to refer to it, and I've heard people refer to it as God with skin on. So God uses other people to talk to me, and they share their experience, strength, and hope, or just their experience, and I can identify and share my strength and hope in that same experience that I've gone through. It's connection, man. It's all about connection. And there's not a lot to be bored about, especially these days, when we all have something in our hand that can distract us from our problems or distract us from making that personal connection. It may seem like we don't need it as much, right? And even though I'm talking to you right now and you may be getting something out of it or not, even if you are, we're connected somewhat by identification, and maybe something triggers a thought for you, right? It's a form of connection, but true connection is being face to face. And that's why, so many recovering alcoholics relapsed during COVID, and the alcoholism rates went up, from what I understand. Like, they didn't shut down the liquor stores, you know what I mean? So, it's but true connection, stick your hand out, say it's going to get better. That is really knowing and understanding that passage from the family afterward, and I still don't know what page it is, but it says, cling to the thought that in God's hands, the dark past is the greatest possession you have. With it, you can avert death and misery for others. And you talk about having a purpose in life. And who doesn't need to have a purpose in life, right? Because when I was drinking, it was all about self-serving hedonism and comfort and fun. I thought it was just having fun. I'm just having fun. It wasn't like that in the end. There were less and less people who thought I was fun. And it's much more fulfilling to be and have fun when we are sober and being of service. That's more fun than anything. That's way more fun than anything. So I learned that, the more I keep coming back, the more experiences I have as a sober person. So keep coming back, y'all. Look up, aim up, rise up.